Lose weight without trying? I mean, I like the sound of that, but can it actually be true? Every time you've tried to lose weight in the past, I can almost bet you were obsessing about what to eat, how much of it to eat, and you set all these little rules for yourself, stressed the heck out of yourself, and you probably quit. This scenario happens all the time with people starting a diet plan when trying to lose weight, and it doesn't have to be this way. When I say lose weight without trying, I mean without thinking about it. I'm not talking about some magic pills, magic detox recipes, or a magical abdominal wrap, because that stuff is nonsense. The 5 approaches that I'll go over today actually work for weight loss without you having to stress all day about how much you're eating and without following a super strict plan. For some people, a super strict plan works very well in the beginning, but even for the most iron-willed people, a super strict, super restrictive diet plan will only work for so long before your cravings get the best of you. So everyone eventually has to transition to something a little less time-consuming and stressful. The first thing you can do to lose weight without trying is start with something simple, like portioning your meals using only your hands. Even though there's no way to give you guys a definitive guide for everyone because everyone would have different portions based on their weight, I could give you a general guideline using your hands. Because the good thing about your hands is that if you weigh more, usually your hands are going to be bigger, and if you weigh less, usually your hands are going to be smaller. So all you would have to do would be make sure that you have about a palm all the way up to a palm and a half of lean protein in every one of your meals. And by the way, we're looking at 3 to 4 meals a day with this plan. Then you would have 1 to 2 cupped hands of cooked complex carbs per meal, depending on your weight. With each meal, you're also going to have 1 fist of vegetables, and then spread out 2 tablespoons or 2 servings of fat for the whole day. So like I said, this is a simple plan and it's based on 3 to 4 meals a day, but you can combine those meals and those portions to eat less frequently if you only want to have like 2 meals, let's say. This plan doesn't call for any calorie counting or weighing your food, but it's very effective for people that want to lose weight in a very low stress way. Again, you would be having a total of about 4 to 6 palms of protein per day, about 1 to 2 cups of carbs for the day, 4 fists of veggies, and 2 tablespoons of fat. Simple enough. The second way that I want to talk about is intermittent fasting. If you don't know about intermittent fasting, it essentially involves an 8-hour feeding window and a 16-hour fast, meaning you can only eat for a certain portion of the day depending on when you decide to place your eating window. What most people do is they skip breakfast and then they wait to have their first meal until around 1 o'clock. Then once it's past 9 o'clock at night, they won't eat again until the next day at 1. Then they just repeat that cycle. By only allowing yourself an 8-hour feeding window, you're decreasing the total amount of calories you can consume for the day without really thinking about it. You're not counting calories and you're not following an eat this, don't eat that restrictive type of diet plan. Of course, you can overeat within the 8-hour feeding window, but it's a lot harder than being able to eat all day long. When you first start fasting, it may be a little difficult to skip breakfast, but that's only because your body has its own feeding schedule and it knows when you normally eat. So at times that you normally eat, your body releases hunger hormones like ghrelin, and without turning this into a boring science lesson, the point is that your body will adapt to your new feeding schedule within a matter of a couple days, maybe a week at the most, so give it time. The next method is one that I've coined the single ingredient food method, which I've been talking and raving about for a while. This one's probably the stupidest simple one out of all of them, and surprisingly, it works very well. In fact, I find myself following this type of approach all the time. This is how it works. First of all, you only allow yourself to shop at the grocery store around the outside perimeter, meaning unless you're going to get some seasonings or some rice or maybe some frozen vegetables, you're not walking inside the aisles. Instead, you're sticking to the outside perimeter. As you walk around this outside perimeter, you'll notice that almost all the food is fresh, real food. However, every now and then, you'll see potato salads and bread alongside these outside aisles. So the other rule to follow is to only allow yourself to grab foods made up of single ingredients. Meaning, if you come across some bananas, you can grab those. They have only one ingredient. If you come across some chicken or fish, again, you can grab it. One ingredient. Rice would just be rice. Sweet potatoes would just be sweet potatoes. And broccoli would just be broccoli. The only rule you have to follow when doing the single ingredient food method is make sure there's protein and at least a cup of vegetables in every one of your meals. And before you start chowing away at your meal, you have to eat the cup of vegetables first. Other than that, there are no restrictions. And that's it. It's literally that simple. Now you can make whatever meals you want out of these single ingredient foods that you gathered up at the store. And I'm willing to bet that if you actually do it, you're going to lose weight. And here's why. Single ingredient foods that come from real and natural food sources are naturally filling for the amount of calories that they provide. Not only that, but your body's also very good at processing real natural food as opposed to processed food. Your body's not going to treat brown rice and Cheez-Its or pasta or bread on the shelf. It's not going to treat these carbs the same way. Again, start each meal with 1 cup of vegetables, then move on to your protein and carbs, and make sure all the sources are natural single ingredients. I know this might sound too easy and too good to be true, and that's because most people will have their single ingredient foods and they'll also have a ton of junk food as well. As long as you actually are consistent with it, I promise you're going to be slimming down like crazy. Like I said, I do this method all the time. The fourth way, and one of the simplest that I also enjoy doing, is known as the warrior diet. The warrior diet is an advanced form of fasting that's going to take some time to ease into. After you master intermittent fasting, you could try to cut down to only 2 meals per day. And then from there, you could progress to the warrior diet, which is where you're only eating 1 meal a day at roughly the same time every day. Now keep in mind, this video is all about flexible dieting. So if you get really hungry one of the days and you have lunch instead of waiting until the end of the day to eat your meal, it's not going to be the end of the world. Keep in mind that fat loss doesn't work based off of hours and days. It works based on totals. So your body that you have right now is the total outcome of how you've been spending the past X amount of years. Don't stress over the little details. You can make up for little lost calories. The point of the warrior diet is to just have 1 big meal a day. You can have this meal for breakfast, but I usually prefer to have it before bed. Since you're only eating once a day with the warrior diet, it does give you a lot more flexibility with the type of food that you can eat. I don't recommend it, but you'll probably even be able to get away with eating junk food, since those are going to be the only calories you're going to have for the day. Like I said earlier, your body adjusts to feeding and fasting schedules. So when you first start the warrior diet, even though you've already practiced with other forms of fasting, you might feel like you have low energy and you're definitely going to feel hungry. However, I promise you this does go away over time. Your body will adapt. Now, the warrior diet's not for everyone. If you get so hungry after holding out the whole day that you completely binge out, believe it or not, you can do some serious damage in just 1 meal. So don't get indoctrinated by any one of these methods. In fact, you can combine multiple methods to make your weight loss process even more flexible. For example, if you normally do intermittent fasting, but one of the days you completely picked out on ice cream before your fasting window ended, you can skip more meals the next day and do more of a warrior dieting structure the following day. Again, your body burns fat based on totals. The last and final method is one that I saved for last because it does involve a little more calorie counting, and with that comes a little more stress. It's a method known as if it fits your macros. With if it fits your macros, you would calculate your maintenance and fat loss calories, and you could do that by using my calorie calculator that I've linked up below in the description, or if you want an even easier way to do it, if you're a man, you can multiply your weight by 11, and if you're a woman, you can multiply your weight by 10. Then from there, you would pick a macronutrient split that you would actually stick to. A very common split is a 40% protein, 40% carb, and 20% fat split. But there's tons of ways that you could split up your macros, including high carb, low carb, ketogenic, the list goes on and on. Once you pick your macros, all you would have to do would be record what you're eating with an app like MyFitnessPal. The great thing about if it fits your macros is that it allows flexibility with your food choices. So if you have a ton of carbs left over at the end of the day, you can fill that void with some sweets, for example. Now, again, be sensible. The majority of your diet should be real natural food, and at the end of the day, you can use some of those leftover macros to satisfy some cravings. That's it. I really hope this video has helped you guys out. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And right now, I'm also running a free 6-week challenge where all you have to do to get it for free is actually commit to sticking to the plan. And most of my clients are losing either a minimum of 20 pounds or 5% body fat in 6 short weeks. You get a meal plan, a workout plan, and most importantly, you get a coach that's going to check in with you every single week. Click the link below, and that'll take you straight there. What are you waiting for? Seriously, click that link. This challenge will completely change your life. I promise you that. The website is gravitytransformation.com. See you guys soon.